This is Mac OS Ken.
Last-minute saves from local Apple stores. Indonesia may say yes to $1 billion Apple bucks. And TrendForce sees big things for Apple Vision Pro. It is Monday, the 23rd of December, 2024. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken. Brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by 1Password Extended Access Management, your solution for MDM and identity and access management. Learn more at onepassword.com/macosken. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macosken. This is your 2-day warning. With roughly 48 hours to Christmas and the start of Hanukkah, last-minute gifts might mean a last-minute dash to the mall, unless you're getting stuff from Apple. A piece from 9 to 5 Mac says through the 24th of December, Apple will be offering free 2-hour delivery from your local Apple store for last-minute holiday gifts. You got the local Apple store part right. The piece points out you have to live close to an Apple store in an eligible area in the US and Canada to take advantage of this offer, and your nearest store would need to have the products in stock. The report says the offer is good for iPhone, iPad, Mac, Apple Watch, AirPods, Apple TV, and Beats. And best of luck to us all. Which corporate hand will Apple take to bring Apple Intelligence to China? Negotiations are said to be underway with at least 2 companies for an AI partnership in the Middle Kingdom. MacRumors highlights a Reuters report that has the Cupertino company in talks with ByteDance and Tencent over the issue. iOS 18.2 saw Apple rolling ChatGPT integration into Apple Intelligence. That will not work there, though. The piece points out that ChatGPT is not accessible in China due to regulatory restrictions. You want to play in China, you gotta play with China. Hence, Tencent and ByteDance, which sounds like a buddy cop series. Fridays at 8 on UBS, right after the Howard Beale Show. Both ByteDance and Tencent have their own AI models, as does China's Baidu, a company with which Apple has also reportedly held AI discussions. As for the more recent potential partners, negotiations are said to be still in early stages, according to the report. Now, I know it's been less than a week, but I'm curious. Since iOS 18.2, where are you on the Apple Intelligence excitement meter? I love Genmoji and Image Playground, though I found the latter frustrating a lot of times. I've asked Siri one question that made it want to talk to ChatGPT, though I honestly can't remember how that ended up going. What about you? Game changer? Non-starter? Where are you at this point in the Apple Intelligence evolution? Let me know. info@macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Hey, remember that $1 billion investment Indonesia was expecting from Apple? A piece from Bloomberg says it pretty much looks like yeah. I know you remember. Apple was roughly $15 million US short on required investments in Indonesia, prompting the country to ban sales of the iPhone 16 line. Apple offered an investment of $10 million, then upped that to $100 million. An offer Indonesia declined. Instead, the country urged Apple to immediately set up a production facility or factory in Indonesia. That was followed 3 weeks ago now by a minister in Indonesia indicating that the government there expected Apple to offer $1 billion in investment soon, restarting iPhone 16 sales. Then things got quiet. Now, looks like they're about to get loud again. According to Bloomberg, Apple is close to getting Indonesia to lift its ban on iPhone 16 sales after President Prabowo Subianto gave his approval for the government to accept a $1 billion investment from the U.S. tech giant, according to people familiar with the matter. The piece goes on to say Indonesia warmed to Apple's proposal after the Indonesian president was briefed on it over the weekend at a meeting that discussed the tug-of-war between the government and Apple. He liked it, he loved it, he wants some more of it, it seems. At the meeting, Bloomberg says the president gave the government the go-ahead to accept Apple's proposal and urged his cabinet to obtain more investments in the future. As for the nature of Apple's investment, that will apparently see 2 plants built by Apple suppliers. One of those will produce AirTags in Indonesia. The other will produce other types of accessories, according to the report. Don't be surprised if there's another general update for iOS and iPadOS in the relatively near future. MacRumors says the logs for its website analytics show devices running iOS 18.2.1 poking around. I'm assuming an iPad version as well, with there practically being the same operating system. MacRumors also assumes accompanying updates such as macOS 15.2.1, though they've only seen evidence of the iOS version. The site expects the release sometime between now and early next month, though not expecting much from it. iOS 18.2.1 should be a minor update that fixes bugs and or addresses security vulnerabilities, according to the report. More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, 1Password Extended Access Management. Your most fastidious employees have never used any device for work besides the ones you've given them or approved. They only use the apps you've approved, and they would never, ever use any login or ID but the one you've assigned. I don't want to freak you out, but there's a chance that other employees are doing all of that and then some. No hate for them. I used to do all that too. I didn't really understand the dangers. Some of your staff may not either, which is where 1Password Extended Access Management comes in. It puts unmanaged devices, unknown applications, and rogue identities that your employees might be using under your control, making sure every user credential is strong and protected, every device is known and healthy, and every app is visible. 1Password Extended Access Management solves the problems traditional identity and access management and mobile device management miss. It is security for the way people work today. It's available now to companies with Okta and Microsoft Entra and in beta for Google Workspace customers. Check it out at onepassword.com/macOSken. That is the number 1, onepassword.com/macOSken. For 2024, one market tracker says there are 3 companies worth mentioning when talking about sales of virtual reality and mixed reality headsets. Those 3 companies are Meta, Sony, and Apple. According to numbers from TrendForce, Meta is the global leader in such devices with a market share of 73%. Sony is a distant second with a market share of 9%. Apple is an even more distant third with a market share of 5%. No other company meets that mark. The remaining 13% is a big blob of other. With Meta's undisputed dominance, which company do you think TrendForce spilled more ink over? It was Apple. Market leader Meta has adopted a strategy that prioritizes affordable pricing to capture consumer interest, according to TrendForce. Sony tried to take its VR device for PlayStation to the PC, though limited functionality and application support have hindered its performance. That led to a 25% decline in shipments for Sony, according to the firm. And Apple Vision Pro? Well, TrendForce really couldn't say enough good things about it. Things like Apple Vision Pro has shifted VR and MR devices beyond their traditional focus on consumer-oriented entertainment toward a broader role as multifunctional productivity tools. That's expected to lead other brands to look to the consumer-enterprise combo for future devices. While almost nobody has them, Vision Pro has set a new standard for user expectations of VR and MR. See also Vision Pro's OLED on silicon display. If the firm has one concern, you want to guess you never will? Okay, I'll tell you, it's the price. Quoting TrendForce, Vision Pro's entry, along with Meta's decision to accelerate the launch of its budget-friendly model and suspend its high-end model, demonstrates that affordable pricing remains the key factor driving consumer adoption. Price sensitivity among consumers has solidified LCD technology as the dominant display technology for VR and MR devices, with a market share exceeding 80%. With that in mind, the firm says Apple's next spatial computer, which they think could hit in 2026, that one is expected to focus on affordability and cost efficiency to target price-sensitive customers. That'll mean a lower quality display, according to the firm, expected to be sold alongside Apple Vision Pro. TrendForce says this dual-track strategy will allow Apple to simultaneously target premium and mainstream market segments, reinforcing its influence in the global VR and MR market. And finally today, for those of you with an Apple computer you can strap comfortably to your face, another reason to do so. Apple Insider says the third episode of the Apple Immersive video series Adventure has hit, this one putting viewers in freezing ocean waters. The new episode, called Ice Dive, joins an Arctic diver in their attempt to break a world record. The piece doesn't say what the record is, though I assume it has something to do with ice diving. macOS Can, brought to you by me, and sponsored by 1Password Extended Access Management. Learn more at onepassword.com/macOScan. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOScan. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macoscan.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.